Picture this for a moment. You walk into the kitchen, open a cupboard, and suddenly think, wait, what was I looking for? You stand there, staring at the shelves, hoping the item will jog your memory, but nothing comes. Or you're in the middle of a story with a friend, and the name of a neighbor or a grandchild's friend just disappears. You can see their face clearly in your mind, but the name will not come. So you laugh it off and say, "Oh, that's my age," and everyone smiles politely, but inside you feel a little jolt of worry. Later that night, when the house is quiet and the TV is off, a small voice inside asks, "Is this how Alzheimer's starts? Is my brain slipping away? Will I still recognize my family in 10 or 15 years? Will I still be able to live on my own?" Or perhaps you've noticed subtle changes over time. You read a page of a book and realize you don't remember what you just read. You misplace your glasses more often, or you feel your thinking is just a bit slower than it used to be when you're making decisions, paying bills, or following a conversation in a busy room. Maybe you even avoid specific tasks now because you're afraid of making a mistake. If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear this very clearly. It is not simply that you're getting old or that your brain is destined to fade. Yes, some change is normal with age, but how fast that change happens is influenced by your daily choices, especially what's on your plate and how you live day to day. Even in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, your brain can still respond to better fuel. It can still build new connections and protect old ones. The encouraging news is this. While no food or habit can guarantee you'll never get Alzheimer's, substantial research shows that certain foods are linked with better memory, slower brain aging, and a lower risk of dementia. And these aren't exotic superfoods or expensive powders. They're simple things you can find in an ordinary supermarket in the US, UK, or Australia, at Walmart, Tesco, Kohl's, or the local market. Stick with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to walk you through 5 everyday foods that quietly protect your brain, then show you how to fit them into a typical day's eating without fancy recipes, special equipment, or significant changes to your budget. I'll also share specific tips for you if you're cooking for one, if you're on a tight income, or if you're dealing with dentures or difficulty chewing. And I'd love to hear in the comments, which of these foods you already eat and which one would be new for you. Your answer might help someone else who's watching and wondering where to start. Big picture. Food and Alzheimer's. Before we dive into the first food, let's clear up one big question. Can what I eat really help keep Alzheimer's away? Around the world, researchers have been studying a diet called the MIND diet. Think of it as a brain-friendly version of the Mediterranean and DASH diets. It focuses on foods that appear to protect the brain, such as leafy greens, berries, nuts, fish, and olive oil, and limits foods that may harm it when consumed in large amounts, including processed meats, heavily fried foods, and excessive amounts of butter, pastries, and sugary drinks. In several extensive studies, people who ate closest to this MIND pattern had fewer memory problems and a lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Here's the hopeful part. Even those who only followed it moderately, not perfectly, did better than people who didn't follow it at all. So it's not about perfection. It's about nudging your overall pattern in a better direction, one small change at a time. Now, food isn't magic. It doesn't change your genes overnight, and it doesn't replace medicines your doctor has prescribed. However, it does mean that your daily choices can steer your brain in a safer direction. Food can calm down low-grade inflammation, those silent sparks that damage brain cells over time. Protect your blood vessels, so the tiny arteries in your brain stay flexible and open, not stiff and clogged. Feed your nerve cells, giving them vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats they need to repair and communicate. Steady your blood sugar, so you avoid big spikes and crashes that leave you foggy, shaky, and tired. When we talk about Alzheimer's, we often mention plaques, tangles, and damaged connections in the brain. We can't see those at home, but we can influence the environment those brain cells live in. Your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your levels of vitamins and healthy fats, and how much inflammation is quietly smoldering in your body. All of these are strongly affected by what you eat day after day. So today I'm not giving you a strict diet with rules, guilt, and forbidden foods. I'm not going to say you can never have a slice of cake or a Sunday roast again. Instead, I'm going to show you 5-star foods that show up again and again in the research and give you gentle, realistic ways to use them, Even if you're on a budget, cooking for one, or not a big fan of vegetables. We're aiming for progress, not perfection. Think of it as adding in more of the good, rather than obsessing over every bad bite. If that sounds helpful, go ahead and tap the like button now so you too can show this to more older adults who've never been told that their daily meals can support their brain. Food 1. Berries, your daily brain shield. Food number 1. Berries, especially blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries. Scientists often talk about oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain. In everyday language, think of oxidative stress like rust building up on metal and inflammation like a slow-burning fire in the background. Over time, both can damage the delicate wiring between your brain cells, making it harder for them to communicate with each other. This manifests as slower recall, fuzzier thinking, and sometimes a heavier, low mood. Berries are packed with deep-colored plant compounds called antioxidants. These are natural pigments that give berries their rich blue, red, and purple colors. They act like tiny firefighters and anti-rust agents. They sweep up harmful molecules, calm that slow-burning fire, and support the areas of your brain involved in memory and learning, especially the hippocampus, your memory librarian. In long-term studies, older adults who regularly consume blueberries and strawberries tend to perform better on memory tests and exhibit slower decline over time compared to those who eat very few berries. It's not an instant miracle. No food is, but over the years, that gentle protection can really add up. There's another plus. Berries may also help your blood vessels. Healthy blood vessels mean better blood flow to your brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients more smoothly, like upgrading from a narrow, clogged pipe to a clean, wide one. That means more consistent energy, a more stable mood, and memory centers that stay well fed. Now, you might be wondering, aren't berries full of sugar? Here's the critical distinction. The natural sugar in whole berries comes packaged with fiber and antioxidants. That fiber slows the rise in blood sugar, and the antioxidants bring powerful benefits. This is very different from eating sweets, drinking sugary juice, or having a fizzy drink, where the sugar rushes in quickly without the presence of fiber or beneficial compounds. So for most people, a sensible portion of berries is not only fine, it's one of the best ways to satisfy a sweet tooth while caring for your brain. Let's talk about real life. What does this look like in Ohio, in Yorkshire, or in Melbourne? In the U.S., Tom in Ohio might add a handful of frozen blueberries to his morning oatmeal or bran cereal. Frozen berries are perfectly fine, often cheaper, and they keep for months in the freezer. He can also stir them into plain yogurt or cottage cheese instead of sugary flavored yogurts. In the UK, Margaret in Yorkshire might sprinkle berries on her porridge, add them to a bowl of plain yogurt, or have a small dish of berries as an evening dessert instead of biscuits or sponge cake. A simple apple and berry crumble with less sugar and a whole oat topping is another step in the right direction. In Australia, Nora in Melbourne might keep a bag of mixed berries in the freezer and add them to a simple smoothie with milk or a dairy-free alternative, or spoon them over Wheat Bix or muesli. On hot days, partially thawed berries can feel like a refreshing, icy treat. Aim for berries at least 2 times a week, and if your budget allows, 3 or 4 times is even better. A typical portion is about half a cup to a cup, a small handful or 2, not a giant bowl. If berries feel too costly, you can buy frozen mixed berries when they're on sale and portion them out in small containers. Choose in-season berries, which are often cheaper and tastier, and freeze extra portions yourself. Combine a small amount of berries with a less expensive fruit, like sliced apple, pear, or banana. If you use blood-thinning medicines or have diabetes, you don't have to avoid berries. But it's wise to keep portions sensible and discuss your overall diet with your doctor or dietitian. They can help you fit berries into your plan safely. You'll be surprised how easy this becomes once you get into the habit. 1 handful a few times a week, and you're quietly giving your brain something it absolutely loves. If berries are already part of your routine, tell us in the comments. What's your favorite way to eat them? On oats, with yogurt, in a smoothie, or just by the handful? Food 2. Leafy greens. Daily fuel for memory. Food number 2. Dark leafy greens. Things like spinach, kale, collard greens, rocket, silver beet, Swiss chard, and even the darker outer leaves of lettuce. Leafy greens are like multivitamins that grow from the ground. They're rich in folate, vitamin K, vitamin C, fiber, and carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin. These nutrients act as building blocks and bodyguards for your brain cells. In brain language, that means they help keep blood flowing smoothly to your brain by supporting healthy blood pressure and flexible blood vessels. Provide antioxidants that protect brain cells from damage caused by everyday stress and the effects of aging. Support the structure of cell membranes and facilitate communication between nerve cells, enabling messages to move more efficiently. In some studies, people who ate one serving of leafy greens most days showed memory performance comparable to that of someone many years younger. Imagine being 75, but thinking more like someone in their late 60s. That's the kind of difference we're talking about when these habits are sustained over years. Leafy greens may also help by supporting healthy blood pressure and cholesterol levels. Again, what's good for your heart is usually good for your brain. Plus, they're low in calories and high in fiber, which helps with weight management, gut health, and blood sugar control. A healthier gut and steadier blood sugar are increasingly recognized as key players in brain health and mood. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Doc, I'm not a salad person, or my teeth aren't great anymore, I can't chew tough leaves. That's okay. You don't have to sit down to a giant bowl of raw lettuce and feel miserable. There are many gentle ways to enjoy greens that feel comforting and familiar. Let's look at some real-life examples. In the U.S., Tom might toss a handful of baby spinach into scrambled eggs or an omelet. It wilts down to almost nothing, but gives his brain a boost. He can also stir spinach into canned soups, such as chicken noodle or tomato, right at the end, so it softens easily. In the UK, Margaret might add chopped greens to soups, stews, or casseroles. Think of a simple vegetable soup with a handful of kale stirred in at the end, or bubble and squeak with extra greens instead of just potatoes and cabbage. A shepherd's pie with a layer of greens mixed into the filling can be an easy twist that no one complains about. In Australia, Nora might add some baby spinach or rocket to a tuna or chicken sandwich, layer it into a wrap, or mix greens into a salad along with tomatoes, cucumbers, capsicum, and any other vegetable she enjoys. A quick stir fry with garlic, olive oil, and greens can be on the table in minutes, and works well with fish, tofu, or chicken. If chewing is difficult, try finely chopping greens so they're easy to handle with dentures. Cooking them until tender in soups, slow-cooked meals, or stir-fries. Blending a small handful into a smoothie with fruit. You'll taste mostly the fruit, not the greens. Aiming for at least one small serving of leafy greens most days is ideal. That could be half a cup cooked or a cup of raw leaves. If that feels like too much right now, start with 2 or 3 days a week and gradually increase as your taste buds adjust. If you're on blood-thinning medications like warfarin, remember that leafy greens are high in vitamin K, which can affect your dose. That doesn't mean you must avoid them. It usually means your intake should be reasonably steady rather than jumping up and down, and your doctor or clinic can adjust your medicine accordingly. Always follow their advice. If you find greens bitter, experiment. Add a squeeze of lemon or a splash of vinegar. It brightens the flavor. Cook them with garlic, onions, and olive oil for richness. Combine them with something creamy, such as a bit of cheese, yogurt-based sauces, or mashed potatoes, if that fits your diet. If this is starting to give you ideas, let me know in the comments. What's one green you'd be willing to try this week? Spinach, kale, collards, rocket, or silver beet? And if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe so you don't miss upcoming brain health episodes in this series. Food 3. Oily fish. Omega. 3S for brain connections. Food number 3. Oily fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, trout, or herring. Your brain is mainly made of fat. Healthy fat. Omega-3 fats, especially one called DHA, are like high-quality building blocks for brain cells. They help keep the outer layer of brain cells flexible, support communication between cells, and may help reduce inflammation in the brain. Think of DHA as an oil that keeps brain cell connections smooth, flexible, and less likely to jam or misfire. Several studies have found that individuals who consume fish at least once a week tend to experience slower cognitive decline and a lower risk of dementia compared to those who rarely eat fish. Fish eaters also often have better heart health, lower triglycerides, and more stable heart rhythms. Again, a healthy heart usually means a healthier brain. Here's where people often get stuck. They say, fish is too expensive, I don't like the bones, the smell puts me off, or I never know how to cook it without ruining it. The good news is you don't need fancy fresh salmon fillets or gourmet recipes to benefit. There are simple, budget-friendly options that work well in a small kitchen, even with limited energy, when cooking just for yourself. Let's look at how this might work in daily life. In the U.S., Tom might buy a simple can of salmon or sardines and have them on whole grain crackers for a quick lunch. He can mix canned salmon with a little plain yogurt or light mayo and herbs to make a spread. He can also stir canned tuna or salmon into whole wheat pasta with vegetables and a drizzle of olive oil for a quick and easy supper. In the UK, Margaret might enjoy tinned mackerel or sardines on toast, or make a classic fish pie with more fish and fewer creamy, heavy sauces. She can bake fish cakes using tinned fish, mashed potatoes, and herbs, and brush them with olive oil instead of deep frying. In Australia, Nora might grill or pan-sear salmon with a bit of olive oil and lemon once a week. Serve with a mixed selection of vegetables. On busier days, she can use tinned tuna or salmon in salads, sandwiches, or a simple pasta bake. A tuna and veg bake with olive oil and frozen mixed vegetables can be prepared in one dish and eaten over 2 days. If you're worried about mercury, remember that smaller oily fish like sardines, anchovies, and some types of mackerel tend to be lower in mercury than large predatory fish like swordfish and some big tuna. So choosing smaller fish more often can be a safe and affordable strategy. If you have kidney disease, gout, or other conditions where protein or certain minerals must be limited, always follow your doctor's advice. They may suggest specific types or amounts of fish that are best for you. If you really don't like fish at all, the taste, the texture, the smell, talk with your doctor about whether an omega-3 supplement might be suitable for you. This is especially important if you're on blood thinners or other medications, because interactions are possible. Never start a supplement without checking. More is not always better. A good starting goal is 1 to 2 servings of oily fish per week. That might be as simple as Fish Friday plus 1 extra fish-based meal, or having a fish sandwich for lunch and a fish dinner another day. Even once a week is better than none. If you already eat fish, you might simply switch one of those meals to an oily fish, such as salmon, sardines, or mackerel. And here's a little bonus. Many people find that when they increase fish and vegetables and gently cut down on processed meats and fried foods, they feel lighter, less sluggish after meals, and sometimes their joints feel a bit less stiff, because omega-3s can also support joint health and lower inflammation elsewhere in the body. By the way, if you find this practical and easy to follow, it really helps the channel if you tap, like, and share this video with a friend or family member. Many older adults have never been told that food can support their brain this way, and you could be the one who brings them this message. Food for nuts. Small handful, big benefits. Food number 4, nuts, especially walnuts, but also almonds, hazelnuts, pistachios, and pecans. Nuts are rich in healthy fats, vitamin E, magnesium, protein, and plant compounds that support both heart and brain health. Vitamin E, in particular, acts as a powerful antioxidant, helping to protect the fatty parts of brain cells from damage. Walnuts contain a plant-based omega-3 fat called ALA, which may further support brain and heart health. Think of nuts as tiny, crunchy brain capsules that help protect your blood vessels and reduce inflammation. When your blood vessels are healthy and flexible, your brain gets the steady oxygen and nutrients it needs, moment by moment, whether you're reading, chatting, or walking to the shops. According to some research, individuals who regularly incorporate nuts and seeds into their diet exhibit improved cognitive performance and a reduced risk of heart disease. That matters because strokes, mini-strokes, and long-term high blood pressure all increase dementia risk. By protecting the heart and blood vessels, nuts also indirectly preserve your brain. From a practical point of view, nuts are one of the easiest brain foods to use. No cooking, no fuss, and very portable. You can keep a small container next to your kettle, your favorite chair, or by the front door, so you remember to grab a portion when you head out. But there's a myth we should bust. If I eat nuts, I'll gain weight. Here's a surprising truth. Nuts are calorie-dense, yes, but they're also very filling because of their fat, protein, and fiber. Many people find that when they eat a small portion of nuts, They're less likely to reach for biscuits, cakes, or crisps later. So nuts can actually support weight management when used wisely as a replacement for less healthy snacks. The key is portion size and swapping, not simply adding nuts on top of everything else. Let's see how this could work for our friends. In the U.S., Tom might keep a small jar of mixed nuts on the counter and use a small handful as his afternoon snack instead of biscuits or chips. He can also sprinkle chopped nuts over a salad or over yogurt with fruit. In the UK, Margaret might chop a few walnuts and sprinkle them over her morning porridge with berries. This gives her a berry and nut combination in one bowl. She might also add flaked almonds to a fruit salad or sprinkle nuts over roasted vegetables for texture. In Australia, Nora might add a spoonful of chopped nuts to her yogurt, sprinkle them over a salad for crunch, or enjoy a small handful with a piece of fruit. A simple homemade trail mix of nuts and a few raisins or dried cranberries can be a satisfying snack. Just keep the portion of dried fruit modest. If you have dentures or sensitive teeth, choose softer nuts like walnuts, macadamias, or cashews, or use nut butters like smooth peanut, almond, or cashew butter. Spread a thin layer on whole grain toast, rice cakes, or apple slices. Check the label and choose versions that are low in added sugar, palm oil, and salt. A sensible portion is about a small handful, around 20 to 30 grams, or 2 tablespoons of chopped nuts, most days of the week. You don't need a giant bowl. More isn't always better. Think small but regular rather than large and rare. If you have nut allergies or live with someone who does, skip this group entirely and focus on other brain foods. We can't cure allergies with diet. Seeds such as sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and chia seeds can offer similar nutrients, but always use those that are safe for you. For individuals with kidney disease or those who need to limit their intake of potassium or phosphorus, the amount and type of nuts may need to be adjusted. This is where the advice of your kidney team or dietitian is critical. Remember, these foods don't just help your brain. They often allow your heart, blood pressure, and energy as well. That's the beauty of a good habit. One action, many benefits. If nuts are already in your diet, tell us your favorite way to eat them. Your idea might give someone else a new, healthy snack to try, whether they're in Ohio, Yorkshire, or Melbourne. Food 5, extra virgin olive oil, healthier fat for a calmer brain. Food number 5, extra virgin olive oil. This might surprise you, because for many years, people were told to fear all fats. But not all fats behave the same way in the body. The fats you use every day can either fuel inflammation or help calm it down. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats and powerful antioxidants called polyphenol. These compounds are thought to support blood vessel health, helping arteries stay flexible and less prone to damage, reduce inflammation in the body, including in the brain, protect the lining of your blood vessels, which plays a key role in how well they open and close, and how well blood flows through them. In the mind diet, olive oil is the primary added fat, replacing butter, lard, and stick margarine whenever possible. People who use olive oil as their primary fat often have better heart health. And again, a healthier heart usually goes hand in hand with a healthier brain. Good blood flow means better oxygen, more nutrients, and a kinder environment for your memory cells. That doesn't mean you need to drink it by the spoonful. It means you use it instead of butter, lard, or hard margarines as often as you reasonably can. Over weeks and months, those small swaps can really change the pattern of fat in your diet and the chemical climate inside your blood vessels and brain. Here are some easy swaps you can make. In the U.S., Tom might drizzle olive oil over cooked vegetables instead of big pat butter, or use it as his main cooking oil for low to medium heat sautéing. Think onions, peppers, mushrooms, or greens cooked gently in olive oil. He can also use olive oil in a homemade vinaigrette, which consists of olive oil, vinegar, a pinch of mustard, and herbs instead of creamy bottle dressings. In the UK, Margaret might replace part of the butter on her bread with a light brush of olive oil and herbs, or dip bread into a shallow dish of olive oil with a pinch of salt and pepper. Olive oil can also replace some of the butter in mashed potatoes. Use olive oil and a splash of milk, plus herbs like chives or parsley for flavor. In Australia, Nora might use olive oil in her salad dressings. Just olive oil, a splash of vinegar or lemon juice, and a little pepper. She can also toss cooked potatoes, carrots, or green beans in olive oil and herbs while they're still warm. It adds flavor and helps our body absorb fat-soluble vitamins, such as A, D, E, and K, from the vegetables. You don't need a fancy brand. Look for extra virgin on the label, ideally in a dark bottle, and store away from intense light and heat to protect those delicate antioxidants. A mid-range olive oil is excellent for everyday cooking. Another myth to bust. Because olive oil is a fat, it must be bad for my weight and cholesterol. In reality, when you swap saturated fats like butter, lard, and certain hard margarines for olive oil, you're often doing your heart and brain a big favor. Mediterranean-style eating patterns, which incorporate the daily use of olive oil, are associated with lower rates of heart disease compared to areas where harder fats predominate. Of course, olive oil still has calories, so pouring it freely over everything isn't the goal. A tablespoon or two used wisely in cooking and dressings is enough for most meals. The key is that it replaces other fats, not that you simply add it on top of everything else. If you've been told to follow a very low-fat diet, or you have specific medical conditions like severe gallbladder disease or pancreatic problems, always talk with your doctor or dietitian about how much and what type of fat is right for you. As a reminder, everything we're sharing today is for general educational purposes. It's not a personal prescription. Your own doctor or dietitian is the one who can tailor this to your medications, your blood tests, and your complete medical story. Pulling it together, a simple brain protective day. Let's make this really practical. What might a simple brain protective day look like for someone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s living in the US, UK, or Australia? Here's one example you can adapt and make your own. Think of it as a template, not a rigid plan. Breakfast. A bowl of oats or porridge cooked with water or milk. On top, add a handful of berries, a spoonful of chopped nuts or nut butter that's berries plus nuts in one go, feeding your brain antioxidants, fiber, and healthy fats before day even really starts. If you prefer toast, try one slice of whole grain bread with a thin layer of nut butter and a few sliced berries or banana on top. If mornings are tough, you can prepare overnight oats the night before. Simply combine oats, milk, a few berries, and nuts in a jar, then store it in the fridge. Late morning drink. Alongside your tea or coffee, have a glass of water. Hydration also matters for clear thinking. If you're sensitive to caffeine, especially later in the day, consider switching one of your cups to herbal tea or decaf. Lunch. Whole grain bread or a wrap with tuna or salmon, a handful of spinach or rocket, and a drizzle of olive oil or a light mayonnaise made with olive oil. That's your leafy greens, fish, and olive oil in a straightforward meal. Add some tomato or cucumber if you like for extra crunch and vitamin C. If you prefer something warm, a vegetable soup with beans and greens plus a slice of whole grain bread lightly brushed with olive oil can work well. Simple, comforting, and brain-friendly. Snack. A small handful of nuts and maybe a piece of fruit like an apple, pear, or orange. If you're watching your weight or blood sugar, keep portions modest, but regular so you're not overly hungry later. A small yogurt topped with nuts and a few berries can also be a brain-friendly snack that feels like a treat, not a punishment. Dinner. Grilled fish or chicken, accompanied by a side of mixed vegetables, including green options such as broccoli, green beans, peas, or spinach, all cooked in or drizzled with olive oil. Serve with brown rice, quinoa, barley, or a baked or boiled potato with the skin on for fiber. If you don't eat meat or fish, swap in beans, lentils, or tofu cooked with vegetables and olive oil. This is where you can add herbs and spices you enjoy, such as garlic, rosemary, thyme, and pepper, to keep meals interesting. Evening treat. If you like something sweet, a small bowl of berries with plain yogurt or baked fruit like stewed apples with a sprinkle of cinnamon can satisfy that craving while still supporting your brain. If you're accustomed to biscuits or chocolate at night, try replacing them with this gentler option just a few nights a week. You don't have to eat exactly this way every single day. Think of it as a gentle direction rather than a strict rule book. You're aiming for berries a few times a week, leafy greens most days, oily fish once or twice a week. Nuts most days. Olive oil as your main added fat. If this feels overwhelming, consider focusing on one food item this week. Maybe you decide, I'll add berries to breakfast twice this week, or I'll swap butter for olive oil on my vegetables, Or I'll put a handful of spinach in my eggs. Once that feels normal, like brushing your teeth, then you layer on the next step. If you're cooking for one, remember, frozen vegetables and berries reduce waste and make it easier to have variety. Leftover fish or chicken can be used the next day in a sandwich, wrap, or salad. Nuts and olive oil keep well and can be used in small amounts every day. Small, steady changes are far more powerful and far more realistic than strict diets that only last a week. Over months and years, these gentle habits become part of who you are and part of how you protect your brain. So, let's quickly recap the 5 foods that help keep Alzheimer's away. By supporting your brain, not by waving a magic wand. 1. Berries, your daily brain shield, calming inflammation and nourishing your memory centers. 2. Leafy greens, daily fuel for memory, keeping blood flowing smoothly and brain cells well nourished. 3. Oily fish, rich in omega-3s to support brain connections, helping your nerve cells talk clearly to each other. 4. Nuts, a small handful with significant benefits, protecting blood vessels and providing long-lasting, steady energy. 5. Extra virgin olive oil, a healthier fat that calms inflammation, supporting your heart and brain with every drizzle and spoonful. These are simple, everyday foods, not strange powders, miracle pills, or expensive superfoods. Over months and years, they help your brain stay clearer, your mood steadier, and your independence stronger, especially when combined with movement, good sleep, social connection, and keeping your mind active with reading, learning, and conversation. I'd like you to imagine yourself a few years from now. You're walking in the park or along the beach, keeping up with the grandkids or chatting with friends at the local cafe or community center. You remember appointments without sticky notes covering the fridge. You follow conversations more easily, laugh at the right moments, and feel more like yourself, present, confident, and still very much you. The choices you make today, what you put on your plate, the oil you cook with, the snacks you reach for, are part of that future. You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Just start with one small step and build from there. Your brain doesn't need perfection. It requires consistency and kindness. Every berry, every handful of greens, every drizzle of olive oil is a quiet vote for your future self. If this video helped you, please give a thumbs up so more older adults can find it. Subscribe and turn on the little bell so you don't miss new episodes in our Health After 60 Brain series. It really supports the channel and enables us to continue creating free content for you. Question of the day: which of these 5 foods will you focus on first this week? Berries, greens, fish, nuts, or olive oil? Please share your favorite simple recipe from the US, UK, or Australia in the comments, and maybe even share your favorite simple recipe from the US, UK, or Australia. Your ideas might inspire someone else in our community to take their first step. This video is part of our Health After 60 Brain series. If you haven't seen it yet, watch our episode on 7 early signs your brain is aging too fast for more practical tips on protecting your memory. And next week, I'll be sharing 3 secrets to better sleep after 65, including how sleep and diet work together to protect your brain. As always, consult with your doctor before making significant changes, especially if you have underlying medical conditions or take regular medications. This video is educational and should not be used as a substitute for personal medical advice. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. Take care of your brain. It's your greatest asset for the years ahead. I'm cheering you on, and I'll see you in the following video.